In the world of premium electric cars, it's hard to talk about this segment and not mention Tesla. The brand basically started it back in 2012 with the Model S, and even though a lot of industry experts expected Tesla to go under, the brand continues to hold market share and grow that market share and demand for premium electric cars, which is why I'm standing by this all-new edition for 2019. This is the 2019 Audi E-Tron, a new all-electric SUV from one of the largest European manufacturers in the world, Volkswagen. This all-new e-tron offers up to 204 miles of range, the ability to charge at up to 150 kilowatts, and with nearly 402 horsepower from its dual-motor electric setup, Audi says this new SUV should get to 60 in around 5.5 seconds. So the big question I want to answer, if you guys are looking for a new premium electric car and you don't want to drive a Tesla, how does the all-new Audi e-tron stack up? That's what we're here to find out. Hey guys, before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Shine Armor. Now, I've been making videos on cars on YouTube for the better part of 7 years now, and one of the constant struggles that I deal with is trying to keep the cars clean in between the shoots. The cars definitely don't always stay as clean as you see them in the videos, and sometimes they are a little bit dirty, and you guys have definitely let me know when they aren't as clean as they should be. Now, to help me with keeping the cars clean, Shine Armor wanted me to show you the product that I constantly use in between the shoots. This is called the Fortify Quick Coat, and it's essentially a beefed up spray detailer that has some ceramic coating in it. Now, ceramic coating is that stuff that dealers typically charge you $1,000 for to have your car coated with, so you no longer have to wash and wax it. Now, this stuff here is really great because it's a quick detailer that you can use to clean up a car, to touch up a car in between washes, and it actually forms a protective coating to help keep it clean for months instead of days or weeks like typical spray detailers do. And Shine Armor says this stuff is formulated with a special emulsification process that actually will surround the dirt that's on the paint of the car and encapsulate it in liquid, so it safely allows you to remove the dirt, the loose dirt that's on the vehicle, with this stuff and with just a regular rag. I know a lot of you are worried, won't it scratch the paint if you're using it on a dirty car without actually washing it with water to remove the dirt first? Well, Shine Armor has a 30-day money-back guarantee, and I've been using this stuff for years. So as an example, here is my 2018 Tesla Model 3 Performance, and trust me, my spouse drives this thing to and from work every day, and it gets dirty. This is literally after about 2 weeks with the caked on dirt and nasty road debris all over the back of the bumper and on the rear trunk lid. All you have to do is take this stuff here, and Shine Armor says you need to spray it very liberally all over the paint. You need to get it very much soaked onto the paint. And then you'll just take a clean rag here, and you'll just kind of wipe away all the dirt. Now, typically, I would not trust a product like this without actually having to wash the vehicle first, because, again, some of you are wondering, what about scratches? Well, the beauty about this product is if you use it constantly, it always leaves a protective layer of film on it to prevent scratches, and it allows you to basically just lift off the dirt very quickly without having to use any water, because trust me, you don't always have time to take out the bucket and hose and wash the car completely. So as you can see, this is the dirty rag. The rag was clean before, and now it's covered in the dirt, and what you're left with is basically the shiny paint and no scratches on the back of the vehicle. So if you guys are interested in picking up a bottle of the Fortify Quick Coat, be sure to click on the BOGO link in the description below. Shine Armor is actually running an exclusive Redline deal right now, and you guys could get up to 4 bottles free depending on which pack you order. So the e-tron is Audi's first ever long-range EV, and when you look underneath the hood, like other EVs, there is actually a frunk in here. Now, Audi doesn't actually mention the capacity of the frunk. It looks small, basically, and it's interesting because it is kind of lined with carpet, but it's also in its own little separate compartment, because unlike Teslas or other electric cars, you can still see some of the inner workings here for the motor, because remember, this car has no internal combustion engine. Instead, it has 2 electric motors, one at the front and one at the back, Together, they combine to produce 355 horsepower and a little over 420-ish pound-feet of torque. Now, Audi says if you put this thing into a sport mode, it offers an overboost function that lasts for about 8 seconds that will give you up to 402 horsepower, which we'll talk about that later on in the test drive. Now, obviously, there isn't really much to see here, but Audi basically says you'll get to 60 in around 5.5 seconds. It has a 95 kilowatt-hour battery pack. So this is a huge battery that's practically matching the 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack of a Tesla Model X. Because remember, a Model X or maybe even the upcoming Model Y will be the direct competition to the Audi E-Tron. Now, despite all the electric motors and the complication right here, this car still actually will tow a maximum of 4,000 pounds. Although with only 204 miles of range, I question how far this thing could actually tow because its range is significantly short of the 328 miles that you get in a Tesla Model X long range. Now, of course, it all goes out through a 1-speed single reduction gear transmission. So there's basically no gears. And because it has dual motors, it has all-wheel drive. So this is definitely the norm of what you expect for an electric car. Now, because it has all these battery packs and because it has all the insulation, this is a heavy, heavy car. It weighs just over 4,800 pounds. Now, when you look at the design of the 2019 e-tron, you can see it looks practically like every other Audi SUV, and that may be a good thing or a bad thing depending on whether you want your electric vehicle to stand out. Obviously, instead of the Quattro in the single frame grille that Audis typically have, it says e-tron there, and e-tron is going to be kind of like a temporary name for Audi for their electric cars because, as you guys know, back in the 80s when they pioneered Quattro, there was an Audi Quattro that stood for all-wheel drive. That was its own model name, which eventually just became Quattro all-wheel drive. E-tron is just the start of a full electrified lineup. So this is really just the beginning of their long-range EVs. The grille itself, you can see, has these openings in it, but it's just not really required. I feel like the grille is only here because Audi, remember, builds internal combustion engines which need the air openings. Electric cars don't necessarily need that. These full LED headlights you can see here are also standard on the e-tron. They're swiveling adaptive. They include an LED daytime running light, LED low and high beams, and then you have an air intake opening down here. There are no fog lights in the lower part of the housing, although Audi does offer these all-weather lights that kind of will spread out the light output at night, which honestly at night this car has really excellent headlights. But overall, you'll have to let me know what you think of the styling. I think Audi played it a little too safe here with the design. I wish the car stood out more. It just kind of looks like a cross between a Q5 and a Q7 if Audi ever offered a Q6 in their lineup. This is where the e-tron will kind of fit there. Now, a couple things I want to talk about before we go into the side profile. Here is the charge port for the vehicle. I like how Audi puts it at the front of the vehicle versus some of the competitors would put it at the rear. To open up the charge port, it's also electronic like a Tesla. You push that button over here, the door pops open in a very elegant manner, which reveals the traditional J1772 outlet. And if you guys want to quick charge the vehicle, you can see there's the quick charging port, which this vehicle, by the way, comes standard with a quick charging adapter. So if you guys are looking for, a fast charger, this thing will charge at 150 kilowatt hours, which basically means you'll get about 80% charge in about 30 minutes. That was surpassing Tesla's until they offered up their V3 superchargers. If you guys are planning to charge this thing at home, Audi actually will come with a mobile charger, which offers up a standard 110 outlet, which will charge the vehicle at a very, very slow, like 2 to 4 miles an hour. If you guys have a level 2 at your home installed, that's the dryer hookup, a 240 volt. Audi says you'll be able to fully charge this 95 kilowatt hour battery pack in about 8-9 hours. In my actual testing at home, because I have a level 2 charger at home, I was getting around 12 hours for a full charge overnight. So I am noticing the mobile charger, when you put in the level 2 adapter, does charge a little bit slower than some of the Tesla vehicles that I've tested. As you guys know, I also have one at home. Now, closing the charge port there, you can see, looking at the rest of the profile, let me first talk about the wheels. These are the optional 21-inch wheel wrapped in 265 width tires. The wheels themselves, you can see, are multiple spokes. They're designed that way for aerodynamics because, as you guys know, big wheels with big spokes will produce a lot of drag, so Audi obviously did this for the aerodynamics. I like the design and size of the wheel, but I also think that the tire itself looks a little bit too like it has too much sidewall for a 21-inch wheel. Now, looking at the rest of the proportions, this is a fairly good size SUV, although it's not quite as big as a Tesla Model X. At a wheelbase length of 115 inches long and an overall length of 193 inches long, this is about in between the size of the Jaguar I-Pace, which is about 10 inches shorter, and a Model X is around 198 inches long. So this is a good mid-size SUV. If Audi ever offered a Q6, something in between the Q5 and Q7, this is what it would actually look like. Now, every e-tron also comes standard with an air suspension suspension. I have it in its sport setting right now, so it's on its lowest setting. You can also raise it up. I believe it has 6.9 inches of ground clearance on its lowest setting. You can raise it up to about 8 inches if you'd like. So Audi says this is an SUV, so you could technically still take it off-road if you put it into its higher air suspension mode. Now at the back of the vehicle, you can see it also has a very traditional Audi look to it. It's got those sequential turn signals, full LED taillights, as you can see. I also like how they connect the two taillights over here. It has this really signature lighting element. This car looks very distinctive at night. There's an E-Tron badge over here. And then of course down here, no exhaust tips. This car does not have a combustion engine, as you guys know, but it does have the tow package that my tester has here, which will tow, again, a maximum of 4,000 pounds. I imagine a lot of owners would probably just use that to install a bike rack or a hitch or whatever like that and put just bikes at the back of your vehicle. Now, looking at the trunk capacity, the E-Tron is also remarkably space efficient here. Because the batteries all live underneath the floor of the vehicle, they basically make up the backbone. It's like a skeleton or a skateboard platform like other EVs. You get around 29 cubic feet of space with the seats up. This car does not offer a third row seats, but if you want, you can fold down the second row here, which is pretty simple. You just pull this lever over here, which that side should also come down on its own as well. But when you fold down everything, this car offers around 57 cubic feet of space, which is a fairly good amount of space. It's a very usable amount. I also like some of the high quality trimmings and the high quality carpet that Audi uses here in the cargo area. Okay, so the Audi e-tron SUV may not look like an electric vehicle from the future, but let's hop into the interior and see if this truly lives up to the Audi snuff that we come to expect from this brand. The first thing I want to talk about here is the key fob for the vehicle. It's not a unique key fob to the e-tron. This is typical Audi key fob. It's a very nice, compact, small key fob. Just 3 buttons here on the outside to open the trunk, lock and unlock. This does have the company's smart key access system. So if you keep the key fob in your pocket or your purse as you approach the door handle, you can see, just like other Audis, there's a little area here where you can touch that. It locks the door for you. It folds in the mirrors if you have that setting to do so. It makes that trademark Audi beep to unlock the door, to touch the back of the door handle, and then the doors will unlock for you. Now, looking at the interior of my particular tester, you can see with the white exterior, it's got the beige upgraded leather interior. This is basically the one that with the Prestige package. So this is the most fully equipped e-tron that you can buy. It's got the upgraded leather with the Alcantara. These are heated and cooled seats that adjust in like 20 different ways. These are also massaging seats. So you're never going to find massaging seats in a Tesla for now. So this interior definitely lives up to what you expect from an Audi nowadays. If you guys have been inside the new A8, the new A7, the new A6 with the dual screen or the triple screen layout, this is going to look very familiar. I love the details here on the door panels with this suede Alcantara, the metal trim here, the nice high quality materials. And overall, this is going to make a really nice first impression. It definitely, feels very premium, futuristic, but in a different sense versus what you get in a Tesla, where they just have basically like 1 or 2 screens, depending on which Tesla that you have. Now, getting inside the vehicle, the e-tron has a nice, easy step-in height because remember, SUV with adjustable air suspension. And then when you shut the door, my tester has the soft closing function, which is nice. Again, you're not going to find that in a Tesla, although the Model X does open the door for you and close it, but it just doesn't have the soft close feature. If you want to shut it manually, you can, and it has a very nice solid thunk. So just what I expected in a brand that wears the Audi badge. Now, if you guys want to start this thing up, unlike some other electric cars, there is still a traditional way to start it up. Just put your foot on the brake, push the start stop button here to fire everything up. You can see it makes the traditional Audi chime. The mirrors fold out. It has that welcome sound where you can adjust the sound of that if you'd like. And then you can see here, this is the latest version of Audi's Mmi Interface. It now has 3 screens. Basically, there's a 12-inch display here that's part of the virtual cockpit. There's a 10.1-inch display over here, which is, again, a touch display. And then there's an 8.8-inch display over here that controls your climate, your heated seat controls, some other shortcut buttons over here. This, may seem a little overwhelming at first, but it really doesn't take that long to understand, which we'll talk about that in just a moment. The materials in here is where Audi really spend a lot of their extra money and time developing, because remember, this wears an Audi badge, so it has a very luxurious interior. You can see there's real, genuine stitching here on the upper part of the dash. It's covered in leather. This portion here is not leather covered, but it is a soft touch injection molded plastic. You can see there's a heads-up display, which you're never going to be able to get in a Tesla because Elon Musk, again, does not like heads-up displays. The door panel here on this upper portion is also soft touch. As I said, there's an aluminum real aluminum trim everywhere. The window switches also feel really expensive, high quality. They're aluminum, although I did find them to be finicky. For example, they're one touch on all four, but they really require a light touch if you guys don't want to activate the one touch, which again, may take a little bit of practice to get right. You can see you can activate the child safety lock system on each side of the door individually from the driver's side, which is nice. It's all soft padded down here with two-person memory seating. You can open up your power liftgate over there. This isn't lined with felt or anything. I expected it to be, although I do like the suede Alcantara material over here. This is your headlight controller switch over here, just like other Audis. It's got like a proximity sensor where this lights up whenever my hand gets close to that to help you see this if you guys are at night. Over here you can see there's a little, no storage area over here. It's a little bit hard touch plastic over here. The steering wheel is power, tilt, and telescoping, which is, again, what you expect. I actually like the steering wheel. This is the same steering wheel that you find in the Audi A8 that I just tested as well. So, again, pretty nice. When you have the vehicle on, it'll say ready in the center display over here, or the instrument panel. If that ready green badge is not there, the car is not on, it's not ready to be driven, it actually will shut itself off if I'm not driving the car, which it just did, which required me to turn it back on. This virtual cockpit is basically very nice. Audi has updated this for their newer generation. You can see I push this view button here and I push these buttons here. I can basically adjust what I want this to show. I mean, this is fantastic. I love the Google Earth display that you can put right here in the dash. The E-Tron also gives you this setting here where if you go here to settings, you can go to display brightness, you can go to virtual cockpit. They actually give you three different, views. This right here is the class or the sport view, which I actually think looks really good. If I switch over here to classic, switch that over, you can see it just changes the look of the tach and the speedometer slightly. And then there's also an E-Tron specific mode here. Let's push that. You can see here, it shows you a really cool display, which kind of puts it into the center. This is very nice. Audi does a really great job with their tech in this vehicle, and that's no exception with this vehicle. Now, coming over here to the Mmi interface, this does have wireless Apple CarPlay, which again, my phone is already connected. So there's the CarPlay over there. It takes up the entire portion of the screen. Pull up Waze. It works really well. Looks great over here. If you guys don't want to use the Google Earth, interface, Audi does a fantastic job. There's the home screen over there, which is really nice. Going back to the main interface over here, this is very familiar to other Audis. You can see here going to navigation. There's your full map display here, which looks great. Very quick, responsive. This has touch haptic feedback, which you can turn on and off as well. I actually have it set to turn off right now on my particular one. I'm going over here back to the settings. There are really great, adjustability and customizations you can do for a vehicle like this, which is very important. I mean, obviously, when you buy an Audi like this, you expect it to have a certain level of adjustability. The interior in here is full of beautiful custom lighting. This car looks even better when it's lit up at night. This actually over here is lit up and shows the E-Tron. You can change the color of that. You can change the color of the line in the aluminum trim. So again, a lot of details here that you just can't get in a Tesla. The seats are also, as I said, massaging. So when you push a button here, you can see on the seat, when I push that button, I can go to so many different, levels or types of massage, wave, pulse, stretch, relaxation. You can change the intensity. The massage lasts about 15 minutes. I want to say 15 to 20 minutes, and it shuts off and you have to restart it. The heated and cooled seat control is over here. You can see, just like other German cars, you can turn on both your heated and cooled function, which is nice. When you turn on the climate control, like I do so right here, the car actually has its own ionizer system. So what that means, I push this button over here, I can basically change the fragrance in this vehicle. So go over to the settings, fragrance. I have it on a winter setting. You can change the fragrance level. It smells fantastic in here. It's just like that Audi A8. Really makes for a clean, classy ambience. It's just a very relaxing car. You feel relaxed. You can easily, sit here and get a massage, waft in that amazing smelling perfume that the car, sprays into the cabin, and just kind of forget about the nasties of the outside world. So again, lots to show with this user interface here. The heads-up display you can turn off from this button over here, or you can access it from over here as well. You can turn off the entire display over here. This car does have hill descent control, it looks like, and then you can also program some shortcut favorite buttons over here. Your home link is over there. Your drive mode selector is right here. You can see once you start tapping that, Audi offers several different modes. There's off-road, there's efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic. When you have the cars, or whenever you switch the mode, you can see the air suspension starts automatically adjusting itself. And then when you put the vehicle into its sports setting here, We'll go into sport. You can see there's a little display there that actually highlights when you go from drive to sport. That's the boost setting. This car makes 355 horsepower, as I said, or 402 when you have it in sport, to give you that little slight burst. So we'll go into that later on in the test drive. The gear selector over here is definitely very interesting. This portion here doesn't even move. Instead, you tap all this all the way down for drive, push it forward to go in reverse, and then once you do that, you can see fantastic backup camera, full 360 display. It has parking sensors front and rear. You can change the different views. You can show the top-down view over there. You can show like the curb view over there, so you don't curb your wheels. You can allows you to show the front and rear tires. So fantastic. You can also go here to the 3D view, and you can literally show exactly what's around you. So if you hit something while you're backing up this car, you're parallel parking, you're just a terrible driver, because this is an even better backup camera than what Tesla offers in their vehicle. So I really wish that Tesla would do something like that as well. You have an electronic parking brake over here. Your wireless phone charger is over here, which nicely, tucks the phone in there. You have 2 cup holders. You can also close that up if you'd like, although you can't close this entire portion of the screen or the entire portion of the center console. Real aluminum trim here. This is leather wrapped. This controls your drive mode selector, where you can adjust it from maximum, individual, and basic. That is optional. You have to go for the prestige package or add it as an option, depending on the trims you're looking at. This center console here does slide forward and also adjust for height. And when you open this up, pretty decent amount of storage, a little bit on the small side, but it's a nice padded center console armrest over there. And then as you can see, these upgraded seats are super comfortable. Now, it's not quite as soft as what I've sat in some of the Tesla models with their vegan leather. This is genuine leather. This is real animal hide. But they do allow you to squeeze the thigh support and the bolstering over here as well. You can also extend the thigh support. So again, like 22 different ways of adjustability, which is again more than what you get with the Tesla. The seats are super comfortable on long drives, even though they do feel a little bit firm at first. Opening up the glove compartment, you can see it's massive, damped, lined with felt. It's even lit up. So this is a really nice glove compartment. Plenty of storage in this vehicle, which is great. And then above me, this panoramic sunroof comes standard, although I do wish that it was like a full glass roof effect. I mean, I like that it's here, but it doesn't go all the way down to the back like what you get in some of the competition. And then you can see here lots of LED lighting, which is good. The cabin itself is really well lit. All the buttons in here feel really high quality. So in terms of the interior, from an interior standpoint, the e-tron is definitely a standout. This is nicer to me than anything you're going to find in a Tesla. But there are some things in here, where some people may think it's a little complicated. There's a lot of buttons and switches and knobs in here. There's a lot of adjustability. And some people may prefer the simpleness that you get, with just one screen or 2 screens over here versus all this. But you can't deny the real wood trim, the perfume that wafts into the air as you sit here with a really nice massage. So obviously, you're spending the extra money on the interior when you go for the e-tron, and it's a very lovely interior indeed. Now, because the e-tron is a midsize SUV and there's no third row, there is a surprisingly good amount of space when you get into the back seat. Now, just like the front seats, they also have a nice soft close feature, which comes standard on the Prestige trim that my tester is. And getting back here, Audi says you get around 39 inches of legroom, which is a lot, although it doesn't really feel like 39 inches of legroom. These seat backs here, they really take up into your space, but you do have these 2 map pockets over here. You can see there's a lot of controls back here. The car offers a quad zone automatic climate control, so each passenger basically on each side gets their own distinct temperature setting. You also have 3 level heated rear seats back here, but no ventilated seats. You can see your own set of rear seat air vents. And then back here as well, there's some nice touches. There's manual sunshades over here. You have the same kind of soft touch materials with the aluminum trim, the Alcantara everywhere. And then if you want to fold down this armrest over here, you can see Audi also offers cup holders. There's a little bit more storage. The one thing I'm going to criticize the brand for is the panoramic sunroof, which is standard. I wish it came back a little bit further. I don't like how it kind of cuts off right here in the middle. If you guys know, Tesla, like the Model X, offers a full glass panel roof. So it would have been nice to see Audi kind of offer something similar. Just a bigger panoramic sunroof would have been a nice addition. So obviously the range and performance specs of this car aren't quite as impressive as a Tesla, but as you guys saw, the interior is really where you're gonna find a huge differentiation. This is easily probably the nicest interior in the electric car segment at this time. Audi obviously knows how to do a really fantastic job with the interior, so it doesn't really surprise me that this is as nice as it is. Now, first settling off in the e-tron, you can see here, this car definitely feels big. It feels big and it feels heavy. The car weighs almost 5,000 pounds, which is a lot. This weighs as much as a Model X, and it's about 6 inches shorter, so I didn't expect it to weigh more or the same as a Model X. You can credit that to the 95 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is massive, and the fact that this car has a lot of sound-deadening materials, a lot of technology, a lot of luxury. This is one of the quietest EVs that I've driven. Super dead quiet, although Audi is making an interesting synthetic electron noise whenever you put your foot down. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Jetsons, like those flying cars from the Jetsons back in the 90s, 2000 eras that I watched as a kid. It's a really cool experience. I think Tesla should consider adding this synthesized noise because I think it's a really cool addition that makes the car a little bit more fun to drive. Now, 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, is relatively quick, but remember, this car starts at $75,000. It is expensive. And I have to say, I was expecting more performance because the competitor for this vehicle is the Jaguar I-Pace, the upcoming Mercedes EQC, and of course, the Tesla Model X, which that car gives you 328 miles of range and 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Now, let's try a quick acceleration run with this thing. I have it in Sport Dynamic. It's in S mode. I'm not going to try to brake torque it. We're just going to floor it from a stop here. Electric cars are typically violent when you put your foot down. Floored, floored, floored. There's 60. I mean, it feels lethargic off the line. I mean, it does push you back into the seat a little bit, but it really does feel a little bit lethargic off the line, which is disappointing considering how insanely fast even the base model Teslas can be. I just expected the performance of this car to be a little bit more. I mean, it's not that it's slow. I mean, Audi says 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. I would say it's around that time. I mean, when you put your foot down, you feel the back end buck down. You feel the surge of torque push you into the, the seat back, which is nice. And it does put a smile on your face. I mean, obviously, if you have never driven an EV before, if you've never driven a Tesla, you're going to drive this car and think, wow, EVs are definitely the future. Audi has a fantastic driving car on their hands. But the problem is Tesla exists. And if you drive a Tesla, they've really set the bar this high. Whereas Audi, obviously they move the interior bar higher. In the exterior styling doesn't really look like too futuristic, but the driving portion, the acceleration, the range is kind of disappointing. Now there's a click point at the end of the accelerator pedal. If you go past that click point, that's how you access the boost point. If you don't go past the click point, you won't ever actually access the boost, which the car feels fast. I mean, this is gonna smoke the e-Golf, the Ioniq electric, a Nissan Leaf, a Chevrolet Bolt. This is going to smoke all of those. And it better for the price that you're going to pay for this, but it doesn't outdo the king of the premium segment, which is, of course, Tesla, the elephant in the room. Now, enough about acceleration. Let's talk about the handling. This car's steering is typical Audi. It's numb. It's precise and quick enough, but you really feel the car's weight. There's a lot of weight that you're throwing around. The suspension is soft, so this is not a sporty vehicle by any means. It is a comfortable cruiser that is electric, that is very easy to daily drive. It's super dead quiet in here. It's easy to see out of. The visibility is just great. You have that Audi full driver assistance with their traffic jam assist, which works almost as well as some of the best from Mercedes, from Tesla, of course, from Volvo. It doesn't actually automatically change lanes for you, but it will come to a full stop. It'll steer for you in bad rush hour traffic. The perfume smell that I'm getting in this car is also phenomenal. I love the way it smells. But really, I'm left feeling a little disappointed with the overall feel. I just don't think Audi has innovated the driving experience enough to justify, buying this over said Tesla. I mean, the range right now says 177 miles. I've got roughly like 88% of the charge available. The most that I've seen with a full charge from this car is about 198 miles, which again, it's almost at the 204, which the EPA rates at. For 2020, it's probably going to be increased to around 210, 215, which is still disappointing. Audi claims that they only use about 88% of the 95 kilowatt hour battery pack to preserve the performance, to preserve the longevity, to allow for repeatable performance. I just think it's a bunch of baloney. Give us the full access to the battery. and I'll leave it up to the owners if they want to, you know, utilize the full 100%. Tesla, you know, basically allows you to set a limit at 90%, and if you go past that 90% limit, that's on you. That's really up to you if you know, want to do that for your personal car. Let's try flooring it again. Pushes me back in the seat, but come on, I expected a little bit more, but woo-hoo-hoo, no lag whatsoever. So again, no transmission to pick from, just a single speed reduction gear, so there's no delay, there's no lag. It just doesn't have quite the same punch. I want to unlock like a performance mode, an actual sport mode. Give me a little bit more juice. Come on, Audi, just do a performance RS version of this and give us like another, you know, 100 horsepower. They need to shave the 0 to 60 to below 4.5 seconds. It should be around the 4.4 second mark or 4-second mark. That's really where it should be, and I should be able to get 300 miles of range out of this car, considering the fact that it has, you know, a 95 kilowatt hour battery pack. But overall, as an EV, as Audi's first full EV, it's a really great first effort. Does it move the bar in terms of what you expect from a premium electric car? No, it does for the interior. You know, if you want massaging seats, you want this ionizer, you want like the high quality materials, sure, you want a quiet interior, it moves that bar. But I just don't know if that alone is enough for EV buyers. I think EV buyers really care more about range, about acceleration, about charging infrastructure. The one thing I don't like about Audi's charging infrastructure, I mean, obviously Volkswagen Group has Electrify America. I've used a couple of Electrify America chargers. They are starting to pop up considerably, and they are expensive to use. The one I used that was near my house cost roughly $30 to recharge this thing from about 5% battery all the way up to about 90 or 85% battery. And that's a lot of money. I could Tesla supercharge for around half that cost in this DC area. So of course, charging is going to base primarily on your area and how much they charge you per kilowatt hour. But I will say Electrify America is expensive, and I really, really don't like some of the other, you know, third-party brands. I don't mind ChargePoint, but I really hate EVgo. EVgo, I had an issue with their app. It took me forever to sign up for an account and actually get it to work. And then once I actually added my credit card and everything, it didn't actually start charging the car, which is super frustrating. And then when you have only 204 miles of range or 190 real-world range, you're going to be feeling more range anxiety in this car than you will in a Tesla. And I think that's something that Audi seriously needs to work on. But the good news is that they will be working on that. Audi is moving full forward with full force into the electric car, you know, marketplace. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. So one of the common criticisms with Tesla and their electric cars happens to be centered around their interiors. They just aren't up to the same snuff that luxury buyers expect with their non-expensive materials and just kind of the lack of features. And that brings me to the all-new 2019 Audi E-Tron. This has an interior that is very much worthy of what you expect from a vehicle that wears the Audi badge. It's got really high-quality materials, from the real leather, the real wood, to the high build quality, to those massaging seats which are heated and cooled, to the really nice infotainment system, to even the way that it smells, that in-cabin ionizer, this thing that wafts that perfume. It alone, to me, just makes me feel like I'm in a special car. So if you're looking for a nice interior, the Audi E-Tron really delivers. It lives up to the Audi snuff. Now, unfortunately, if you guys are also looking for the same kind of technology that Tesla offers with their range, with their acceleration, with their supercharging network, this is where the Audi E-Tron kind of falls a little bit short for me, because the problem is, even though this is an amazing first effort for a long-range EV from Audi, I mean, 204 miles of range is great. It's got the 150 kilowatt hour, you know, supercharging ability, 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. If you've never driven a Tesla vehicle, this will be an amazing car. If you guys are an Audi loyalist, you're looking to get out of your Audi Q5 or your Q7 into this, you're going to be impressed. But the problem is when you drive something like Tesla, they've set the bar up very high for premium electric cars than what you expect. And it makes me think electric car buyers really, I feel like, more prefer range and acceleration and supercharging network versus a very nice interior. I mean, Tesla's interiors, sure, they're not super expensive feeling or high quality like what you get in a German brand, but with Teslas, you get a 328 mile range, where this car only has 204, and 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds for the long range Model X, which honestly costs about the same as this vehicle. So I think what Audi needs to do with the e-tron, they need to follow it up with a performance version. I would love to see them do an S version or an RS version. They need to improve the 0 to 60 time to under 5 seconds. This car should be able to do it in 4.5 seconds, and you should be able to get over 300 miles of range. I'm not entirely sure why Audi decides to limit the battery usage of the 95 kilowatt hours to only 88%, because they really should just give us the option for it. Range is going to continue to be the king in the EV segment, and until Audi decides to make the range better, I imagine a lot of people who are looking at an e-tron will continue to find the shortcomings with only 204 miles of range. But all that said, it's time to talk about the pricing of this vehicle. The e-tron actually starts at a very reasonable $74,000 for the base Premium Plus, at about $7,000 if you guys want the Prestige trim, which includes the soft closed doors, the massaging seats, the heads-up display. I highly would recommend that. Now, add in all those options. That also includes the driver assistance tech that my tester has, and this car stickers for around $86,000 total, which is a fairly good amount of money for something that, you know, only offers 204 miles of range. Remember, you could get to something like a Jaguar I-Pace for around $69,000, which honestly isn't selling very well. Mercedes-Benz is also going to be introducing an EQC, basically an electric version of the GLC, but the company just announced they are going to be delaying production of that vehicle by another year due to slow sales of the e-tron and the I-Pace. So it's really just a matter of the model, the Tesla. That's really the main competitor, which that car starts at around $80,000 for the long range model. You're going to be spending around $93,000 once you add the full self-driving. So the e-tron definitely offers an interesting perspective, but really I believe full EV buyers will continue to be put off by the lack of range and infrastructure that the e-tron continues to have, at least until Audi continues to build up their Electrify America charging network. With all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2019 Audi e-tron. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.